All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Sales Manager Academy podcast. I'm your host, Omar, and as always, we talk leadership when it comes to boutique retail. So think, once again, wireless retail, think AV sales, appliance sales, all the fun stuff, everything pretty much outside of like big box retail. Um, and there's different aspects of leadership that we always talk about that come up, right? Especially if you feel that either your organization doesn't have the support, isn't able to give the support, or doesn't give any support as far as any leadership training, any development, anything like that when it comes to you as a leader or any leader. So that's what we're talking about. And today's episode we're talking about the myth of motivation and what actually drives performance. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say, you don't want to be motivated. You don't want to help motivate people. But if your fallback is just rah, 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 right? That it's just motivation, I'll motivate them and they're going to figure it out. Yeah, there's a lot missing, right? There's no substance to what you're doing as a leader. And we don't want to focus on that. We want to focus on things that are actually going to help, that are going to move the needle, actually get your team going. And that comes down to having systems, not to a bunch of rah, rah, rah. This is, just messaging, messaging, messaging. No, let's talk about actual systems. Let's talk about things that make a difference, that are repeatable and teachable. Because when you can repeat something, you can teach somebody to repeat a system that you've created or that you have in place. They're able to take that and grow with it. They're able to actually do more than just, feel motivated for 5 minutes and then forget because the rest of the day happens. They now have something to fall back on. And it's like that adage of you don't fall back um, to, your level. You don't rise up to the occasion. I'm sorry, you fall back to your level of training. If you have no training, what do you fall back to? And that's what we want to get to. That's where we want to help people. Now, what helps drive motivation or what helps drive performance? Obviously, it's not motivation. Motivation is something that can get you a little bit of a boost, but it's not a system. You can motivate people to a degree, but that's not going to get them to actually perform. They have to take steps. Think of, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie The Secret, right? Don't get me wrong. It's a great message. I'll say this. I've never read the book, right? I've seen the movie, I don't know how many times at this point. And at first I was like, it's a great movie and I feel really great when I watch it. And right afterwards too, but there's something missing, right? There was something missing and I couldn't really tell what it was. And then it dawned on me is the messaging in that movie is great because it's all motivational, but there's no systems that are talked about. There's no things to do that actually can be impactful that you can take away from that that is going to help you to yield something. And so this is what I did, right? It talks about like the power of visualization. It talks about a lot of different types of techniques, and it actually comes down to the most basic one, which is power visualization. That's obviously the big thing about the secret. But how do you build a system to make it work? How do you build a system where you can continuously do it to actually yield results for yourself? And that's the hard part about it because there's no like actual messaging on that aspect of it. So it's a great motivational aspect, but there's nothing to take away from it. You can watch it every single day, but what are you going to do to build a system that's going to assist you to actually get results, either for you and your leadership style or for your team? And that's what we want to talk about, right? Motivation just makes you feel good. It's flashy. It can make for a great speech. But if you're betting on motivation to drive your team's performance, you're building your success on sand. It's not a solid foundation. Systems are always going to beat motivation every single time. Because when things get rough, when things aren't going as planned, your team's going to fall back to their level of training. And systems essentially is training and developing. Now, motivation is inherently unreliable. That's its nature. Motivation spikes and then it's going to crash because it's not sustainable, right? I get it. I love Zig Ziglar. I love, the way he coaches and trains and motivates. And he said it himself, right? Motivation, they're like showers. It doesn't work if you only do it fucking once. You have to continuously do it. But there's something better than motivation. When you have a system in place to follow through on things, that is repeatable. That is trainable. That gives you a system that you can now either develop and turn into your own or get more out of and help your team to move forward. Because when they don't have a system for themselves, they fall back to their non-existent training. And no, those e-learnings do not count as actual sales training. That's just you guys checking off things on a checklist because nobody's actually checking the quality of training that they're getting afterwards. And that's what it is. You guys know just like I do, when it comes to a lot of those e-trainings that are required, everybody's got the fucking cheat sheet to get the answers off of because your leaders want you off the damn checklist um, so that they can stop getting hounded on by either the admin teams or their leadership about why these trainings aren't done. Here's the answer sheet. Just blah 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 blah. That's what happens. Very few people actually go through and learn the actual true material that's from there. Everybody else typically learns by doing. So they learn more in the field, and that's not a kept secret. That's a well-known secret. Everybody knows that. Um, so you want something that's going to be built on a way of actually getting things done. And motivation doesn't do that, right? It's emotional. It's not operational. It's not a system that you can put in place and actually yield true results. Real leaders, they're going to build habits and systems that work when even motivation is low, when you don't want to do things, right? It's like, damn, I got out of bed, I stubbed my toe, it's just a shit day today. But you have a system in place for yourselves, for what you're going to do. You have, your habit loops already in place. So when somebody walks into the door, when you get a call, when you're making calls, you know what is going to happen when a certain framework pops up, right? Either a certain greeting, certain words are said, right? Whether it's during the greets, when somebody answers the phone, when somebody walks in through the door, you already have that set. So you don't have to really think about it. Your body just automatically does it. It makes it that much more easier where you're not thinking about it. Now, systems create more consistency as well. And for your people that rely on um, commission, on bonuses, that's what they want. The biggest drawback to a lot of commission sales positions, and you hear this very often, is your salespeople will say that the commission isn't, or the money that they make on the commissions isn't consistent. But here's the thing. It can be consistent when you're doing training and developing, when you're helping your people actually rise up by training them, by developing them. Because when shit hits the fan, they fall back to their level of training, which is still going to put them above where they were before. And that's what we want to get our teams to. That's what we want to focus on. But I don't have time for training. I don't have time to spend. Trust me, you got time. When you can take 15 minutes and start coaching your people just off of 15 minutes and get better results than a fucking 8-hour class, a weekend training seminar, that yields better results for everybody. Your team's not wasting a day, wasting time going over theory. They're actually getting practice and they're chunking things down where they can now take that information, use it right away, and then come back to another coaching session, another training session, and be able to, maybe get a little bit more clarification. Hey, I tried doing this, it didn't work. Or I saw this and this is, I think, what I was doing wrong, and this is what I did to adjust. They start getting that feedback in more real time as opposed to, oh, okay, we did an 8-hour training session, and when's the follow-up? Because that is always the fucking issue with 8-hour training courses, with these big old seminar things is there is no follow-up. And I've already told you guys that's one of my biggest things when it comes to a lot of consulting companies is that their job essentially is to keep you on the hook. So if they're not giving you things or they're giving you just enough to get a little bit better, but that's it. But if you want to unlock it or if you want to get the real power, this is, the next step of my services. So I'm going to keep you on as a, you're going to keep you on as a retainer, and I'm only going to do enough to make sure that you keep me on as a retainer. That's the issue with a lot of consulting firms, right? Or they give you something that will yield results immediately, but they're not sustainable. So things fall off after 30, 60, 90 days. And sometimes that actually puts you in a worse position. And that's not what you want. You want something that's going to be something you can take away. Your team can use it right away. And it's repeatable. It's easy. It doesn't take a rocket science to get it done. That's what it means to actually have a system in place for your sales team, to actually have something that's going to yield results for you as a leader, for your team, for everybody involved. And when it's consistent, right, it happens every day of the week instead of, motivation, which is intensity based sometimes, where you're messaging everybody on, whatever platform you're using, whether it's GroupMe, whether it's Teams, whether it's text messaging, emails, and you're blasting away. What are the numbers? What's going on with the numbers? Where are we at? As a leader, I shouldn't have to be doing that. I shouldn't be hounding you for numbers because I know that I've trained and developed you and the numbers are going to come in. I can focus my energy and attention on other things that matter, whether it's opening up new white spaces, it's working on remodels, it's working on, a project within a different department of the company, whether it's there's a lot more that you as an executive leader are able to do when you're not stuck in the weeds of selling. We talked about it the other day where as a leader, you should not be, yeah, you can be a great seller. You should not be the top seller. You should not be outshining your salespeople. It demotivates them. You're not leading by example, right? You're demotivating by example in that case. Um, so motivation, it's got its use cases, but it should not be your go-to when it comes to leadership. You can't motivate people to perform. You can train and develop people, give them the actual tools and the systems to help them perform. It's just like riding a bike. You do that, you get everybody trained up, you get them developed, you spend time ensuring that they can do those, and you focus on the basics. Because your team will build off the basics. But when I know that the basics are going to get them to at least quota or higher, and they know it, they're not fumbling about what to do on the basics. And when they start making it their own, that's where you start to see magic happen. Because now they're taking a system that everybody's learned and they're putting a little bit of the twist on it so that it fits them and their personality, their, speaking style, and they can run with it and build it into their own. And I think that's where a lot of people get wrong when it comes to systems, when it comes to training and developing. You have to say it this way. You have to do it this way. It's no, you got to train them so that they can understand it. And then they're going to develop it into their own style once they have it. But we have to make sure that they have the basic foundation first and then they can build off of it. Because maybe, a certain word or phrasing is awkward for them. And then they rephrase it and it makes more sense. It's the same messaging, but because of their style, their personality, that little change is yielding better results for them. It's going to be little things like that that happen, but because of the systems in place, they understand that they can take control of that and be able to run with it. That's what makes a big difference. And when it comes to coaching as well, you know what the basic foundations are. Your team knows what the basic foundations are. It's not a surprise. It's not a different conversation every single time. It's a consistent conversation. And even though it's consistent, you can still have different types of conversations that are going to, you know, take care of different metrics, are going to take care of different attainment goals. It makes it super easy. And it moves away from you just trying to motivate your team during, a coaching conversation. And once again, guys, remember, coaching conversations are not fucking write-ups. You don't write somebody up and call it a coaching session. That's not what it is. Those are two completely different things. So don't get it twisted. Um, Now, when you go through and you actually build a system for yourself, for your team when it comes to training and developing, you start to create small progress because you're able to track the small things. You're able to inspect what you expect, and your team knows what you expect. So it makes that easier for them. They're not having to try to guess. When it comes to motivation, it becomes what the fuck is the flavor of the week? What is the fire drill that we're taking care of today? What is he getting hounded on? What is she getting hounded on that now I have to figure out? And that's not what we want. We want a consistent messaging. When I was a leader, and I had my different districts, my team understood, all right, this is what he's gonna, take care of. This is what he's gonna um, essentially hound on, right? This is what the conversation is going to be about. It wasn't a different surprise. I didn't have to worry about my metrics because I focused on training and developing my people early on. Not only my new hires, but also my veteran employees that were there because I didn't want to fire anybody. I did everything I could to keep on as many people when I took over new territories. Because I don't believe that when you take over a territory, the first thing you have to do is remove all the people that aren't working out. No, it's the fucking leader that wasn't working out. That's why we have somebody new in place. Turn things around. You got to give everybody a shot to be able to come up, right? Especially if they've been with the organization for a while, because they've been there for a while, so they know things. They know tribal knowledge that isn't easily passed on or learned while you're on the job. It's going to take time to figure it out. So they're very, very valuable assets. Not only that, but obviously they know how to perform because they've been there for a while. So they are valuable. Keep them on. Do everything you can to find out what's going on. Give them a system, train them up, be consistent with it. And then you're going to see that their performance does turn around, that they have a new spark for what they're doing. And that's that. So I don't have to worry about, what their most basic level. Are they going to perform today? No, I know they're going to perform. I know I'm not going to get hounded on KPIs. I'm good there. And that's what you want as a leader. You don't have to worry about trying to motivate them through rah, rah, rah messaging, through blowing them up on the different platforms. You're good. It's sustainable. They're getting their small wins daily and they know what to get after. And they know that the small little things that they're doing tack on and make things easier for themselves and for everybody around. And at the end of the day, those micro wins, they compound into bigger wins, right? They add up. It's the small little things that they do on a daily basis that make winning habits. It's not we're going to do this big thing this weekend and then it falls off. Because, guys, you also have to remember it's mental gymnastics. When you bring something brand new into the mix and you've never done it before, it's like going to the gym and maxing out on an exercise that you've never done before. And you maxed out, you overexerted yourself. What happens to your body? You're fucking sore. So you may not even be able to do some of the most basic things that you were doing before without resting. And that's what happens when you do these big changes and expect it to be sustainable. It's not because the mental gymnastics required, the synapses in the brains that are required for it aren't truly developed the way that because we haven't developed them as leaders for our people. We haven't helped train them in that respect. So they haven't worked out those muscles and haven't fully created it. So they become mentally exhausted. And that's what happens when performance, becomes sluggish. And that's what you have to think about. As a leader, there's a lot more than just do what I said. You don't do that as a leader. Okay. You can't lead them by example if you're not training and developing them. Don't say, I'm going to lead by example and it's you on the fucking sales floor every single day. Instead of, I'm going to lead by example. We're going to train and develop you. Going to show you that I'm going to value you as an individual within the organization and invest time and energy in training you up and coaching you up because I want you to be successful. Because as your sales leader, I want you to make more money and work less. That's not a difficult ask. Your people become a little bit more willing at that point. All right, you want me to make more money and work less? So what's this about? What are we doing? Right? And that's boom. And steal that if you have to. If you've never used that line, fucking steal it from me. Tell your salespeople, as your sales leader, I want you to make more money and I want you to work less. I want you to stress less. Because when they're making more money, inherently the organization is also making more. You as a leader are also winning and making more. That's what you got to do. And you have to learn to value your people in that respect. When you value them, they want to do more because you're doing something that they very rarely have seen, maybe even not seen in their household, right? Most people don't see this outside of their household. Is somebody giving a damn by taking time and investing in them, teaching them, training them on something new? You can think about it in your life as well. Think of a coach, think of a teacher that spent time teaching you or showcasing something new to you that nobody else had even bothered to do. Sometimes it's the small little things that go a long way. And that's what you want to be for your people. You want to be somebody that they know gives a damn about them, is going to invest time and energy in making sure that they're successful. Because your people know that their success inherently means that their leader is also going to be successful. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about my team. Because when they're taken care of, they're going to take care of me as a leader. And that's what you want to look at it. And that's what you want to take away from it. So don't worry about, I need to motivate my team every single day. No. Listen, we're going to have shit days. We're going to have times where things go bad. We're going to have a bad customer experience. You don't need to motivate your people. When they have a system in place, they can bounce back up. They can bounce right back and they're good. And that's what we want to focus on. But Omar, I don't have a system in place yet. My organization doesn't give me anything to work with. I'm trying to figure things out. It's just so much. Take a breather, check the link in the bio, check the link in the description, depending on where you're watching this. Grab that 15-minute framework and use it. It's as easy as that to get started in developing a framework that works for you, for your team, and a little bit of time invested yields better results in the long term. That's what you want. And that's what you want to get to. So, guys, I want to say once again, thanks again for stepping into another episode with us here at the Sales Manager Academy podcast. I'm Omar, and I'll catch you on the next one.